Aboard the spaceship Odyssey, the vastness of space stretched out before me, and I felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. As we approached Saturn, my heart beat in sync with the rhythm of the mission. The control room was filled with monitors flashing data, graphs, and stunning images of the planet and its rings, and I, Dr. Ethan Miller, led the team with fervor. "Folks, we're about to make history," I declared, looking at each of my colleagues. "Saturn's rings are a mystery humanity has longed to unravel, and we're here to do just that." Dr. Sarah Collins, the astrobiologist, adjusted her glasses and responded with a smile. "What if we find signs of life? That would change everything we know about the cosmos." Lucas Reed, our systems engineer, chimed in, excited. "Or maybe we'll find something much older. An alien structure, perhaps? That would be a real twist." Maya Johnson, the artificial intelligence specialist, crossed her arms, observing the data. "We need to be ready for anything. Whatever we're about to discover could have consequences we can't even imagine." As we discussed, the ship slowly approached the rings. My gaze fixed on the vibrant colors and intriguing patterns that formed a cosmic tapestry. Suddenly, Sarah, focused on her monitor, exclaimed, "Ethan, I'm detecting a strange anomaly in the data." The tension in the room rose. "What do you mean by anomaly?" I asked, turning to her. "It's a signal that shouldn't be here. Something is emitting an unusual frequency. It might be an artificial structure." Lucas leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with curiosity. "We need to investigate this. What could it be? Let's get closer." "Yes, but with caution," I replied, feeling a chill down my spine. "We don't know what we're about to encounter." As the ship moved towards the source of the signal, excitement mixed with anxiety. The sight of the structure forming before us was breathtaking, a colossal construction glowing with a pulsating light, as if it were alive. The atmosphere in the room was charged, and the silence was almost deafening. I knew we were about to cross into unknown territory. "Prepare to collect samples," I ordered, my voice firm, but my heart racing. We're about to discover what Saturn's echoes have to tell us. The tension in the air was palpable as we watched the alien structure through the ship's screens. The exploration robot, a small device with wheels and articulated arms, was about to venture into uncharted territory. My heart raced as the screen showed the image of the structure's surface, gleaming and pulsating as if it were alive. "Maya, how's the data?" I asked, trying to hide the anxiety in my voice. "Radiation levels are within expected ranges, but something strange. Look at this." She adjusted the controls, and the screen began displaying data that defied our understanding. The structure seems to be responding to stimuli. It's not just a physical object, there's intelligence behind it. "Intelligence?" Lucas questioned, raising an eyebrow. "You mean it could interact with us?" "Exactly. The variations in the signals are becoming more complex. It's like it's trying to communicate." Ethan, with a gleam in his eye, couldn't hide his ambition. "Then we should explore this. If this structure really has intelligence, we have a unique opportunity to make a discovery that will change everything we know." "What if it's dangerous?" Sarah interjected, her voice tense. "We don't know what we're dealing with. Activating anything could be a risk." "But what is science without risk?" Ethan retorted, his determination unwavering. "If we don't try, we'll never know." "Ethan, we need to be cautious," I said, trying to push back the euphoria that was gripping everyone. "Curiosity is one thing, but recklessness could cost us dearly." He ignored our warnings and began activating the system. A pulsing signal started to emerge from the structure, and the ship shook slightly. "Come on, everyone. Get ready to record everything." As he pressed the button, a wave of energy erupted in a blinding flash. The floor vibrated beneath our feet, and we were thrown to the ground. I tried to get up, but a strange sensation overcame me. Looking at the screen, I saw dancing images of ancient civilizations and distant planets. "What is this?" Lucas shouted, his voice lost in the chaos. "It looks like we've awakened something," Sarah whispered, the fear in her eyes reflecting the gravity of the situation. The structure wasn't just an artifact, it was a bearer of secrets that perhaps were better left untouched. I awoke with the feeling that something had changed. The atmosphere of the Odyssey seemed to vibrate with a different energy. The alien structure before us pulsed like a heart, and I couldn't shake the idea that it was communicating. "Maya, can you decipher these signals?" I asked, trying to hide the anxiety in my voice. She was focused, her eyes fixed on the screen, typing furiously. "The codes are complex, Ethan. They seem to be in a sequential pattern, but I still can't figure out what they mean," she replied, her voice tense. Sarah, standing next to me, crossed her arms, visibly uneasy. "We can't ignore what's happening here. This structure, it's not just an object. It's alive in some way," she said, with a look that mixed concern and fascination. "If it's alive, that could mean it has advanced technology," I retorted, feeling the adrenaline surge through my veins. "We need to move forward with the experiments, discover what it can offer us." "What if we're messing with something we shouldn't?" Sarah questioned, fear evident in her voice. "We can't just ignore the risks. We need a more cautious approach." But the idea of missing out on a monumental discovery consumed me. "Caution has never led anyone to great advances, Sarah. We need to understand this technology before others do." Lucas, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. "I understand both sides. But Ethan, you need to listen to Sarah's concerns. What we're dealing with here might be more than we imagined." The tension was palpable. I knew the team was divided, but my ambition pushed me forward. The images of ancient civilizations still danced in my mind, and the possibility of contact with a superior intelligence left me exhilarated. As the days passed, the signals from the structure began to intensify, almost as if it were responding to our presence. But the gravity around the ship started to change. We could feel the pressure increasing, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were about to cross a dangerous line. "Ethan, we need to stop. This isn't right," Sarah pleaded, her voice almost a scream. "We don't know what we're really awakening." But I was determined. "We can't back out now. The answer is within reach, and I won't give up. Let's keep going." The tension aboard the Odyssey was palpable, as if the air were charged with electricity. As I looked at the pulsating structure ahead, a mix of anxiety and excitement overwhelmed me. Ethan, in his blind enthusiasm, seemed completely oblivious to what was coming. "We need to continue the experiments," he insisted, his gaze fixed on the screen, displaying a series of enigmatic data. "We're on the brink of a discovery that could change everything." "Ethan, you're not listening," I countered, trying to remain calm. "This thing, it's not just equipment. I feel like we're dealing with something much bigger, and we have no idea what might happen if we continue." "But what if we're on the verge of understanding an alien civilization? We have to take the risk. Think about what this could mean for humanity." The passion in his voice was undeniable, but I couldn't ignore the growing knot of fear in my stomach with every word he spoke. "You don't understand, Ethan. The structure might be reacting to us in ways we don't comprehend. We need to pull back at least for a while, until we have a better idea of what we're dealing with." But his determination was unshakable. With a quick gesture, he ordered Lucas and Maya to prepare the equipment for another test. I felt powerless, like a shadow watching an impending disaster. The tension was almost unbearable, and the silence that followed was only broken by the sound of the ship's systems preparing for the experiment. The night was heavy, and I couldn't sleep. Every sound from the ship seemed amplified in my mind. Then, suddenly, a wave of energy erupted from the structure, as if the very essence of the cosmos was manifesting itself. The ship's lights flickered, and systems began to fail. "Lucas, what's happening?" I shouted, gripping the table to avoid being thrown to the ground. "I don't know. I'm trying to restore control," Lucas replied, his face marked with concentration and panic. Maya was at his side, typing furiously on the console, but I knew the situation was worsening. Ethan, on the other hand, remained fixated on the screen, mesmerized by the dance of data and images unfolding before him. "Look at this. It's incredible." He seemed completely oblivious to the chaos around him. Then, the structure began to project a hologram. The image slowly formed, revealing alien figures in worship. They were slender beings with shining skin and eyes that seemed to reflect the stars. The sight was both majestic and terrifying. "Sarah, look at this. They're revering the structure," Ethan exclaimed, amazed. But as I watched the scene, a sense of dread began to creep in. "Ethan, this isn't just technology. It might be a living being. We need to get out of here." The urgency in my voice echoed, but he didn't seem to hear. The weight of the revelation crushed me, and for the first time, I realized that our curiosity had awakened something we didn't understand. The atmosphere was charged, and what once seemed like a scientific adventure now felt like a nightmare that could end us all. The atmosphere on the Odyssey was heavy, as if the very air was charged with an unbearable electricity. I looked at Sarah, her eyes filled with determination and concern as she insisted, "Ethan, we need to get out of here. What we're doing is far too dangerous." But I couldn't tear myself away from the screen, where the structure pulsed with a hypnotic energy. "Sarah, you don't understand. We're on the brink of a discovery that could change everything. We can't just walk away from this," I replied, the obsession starting to take hold of me. Lucas, sitting next to me, tried to focus on the control interface. "Ethan, Sarah's right. Whatever this thing is, it's behaving erratically. We need to take a break," he said, his fingers nervously dancing over the buttons. But I wasn't willing to listen. "We're going to do one last experiment. We need to interact with the structure more directly. We have to find out what it's capable of," I insisted, ignoring their worried looks. At that moment, the tension in the room was palpable, and against my better judgment, I decided to proceed. "Maya, are you ready to implement the direct connection?" I asked, and she hesitated before agreeing, her reluctance only fueling my determination. We connected the ship's system to the structure, and a moment later, everything changed. A wave of energy erupted from the structure, causing the ship to shake violently. "Ethan, what have you done?" Sarah screamed as she tried to stabilize the ship. The lights began to flicker, and in a moment of clarity, I realized I had made a colossal mistake. "We need to disconnect now," Lucas shouted, his voice almost lost in the chaos. But it was too late. The structure's glow intensified, and in an instant, an explosion of light and sound engulfed us as the ship was rocked violently. The last image I saw before the darkness was Sarah's face, full of fear and despair. "Ethan!" Her voice echoed in my mind, but the connection broke, and reality dissolved around me. When I regained consciousness, the structure was collapsing, and the ship seemed to be disintegrating around us. "Sarah! Lucas! Where are you?" I shouted, but panic was already taking over. The structure was crumbling, and the feeling that everything was spiraling out of control was palpable. The lights were going out, and the only thought I could grasp was that deep down, we had awakened a force that was now consuming us. The structure around us began to collapse, and a sense of despair settled in my chest. The pulsating energy emitted a deafening hum, as if the very universe were screaming. "Sarah! Lucas! We need to rescue Ethan and Maya!" I shouted, my eyes fixed on the flickering lights dancing in the air. The ship's floor trembled beneath my feet, and I felt the adrenaline coursing through my veins. We can't leave them behind. Lucas responded, his voice laced with urgency. But how are we going to do it? The energy is affecting our minds, and I don't know how much longer we can hold out. He seemed as anguished as I was. The light emanating from the collapsing structure seemed to invade our souls, bringing forth our deepest fears and forgotten ambitions. I saw flashes of moments from my life, choices I made, and the guilt of not being able to protect everyone I loved. We have to try, I said, taking a deep breath. If we can get close enough, maybe we can pull them back. With monumental effort, we started to move forward, but the energy seemed to pull us back, as if an invisible force was trying to keep us from advancing. However, Ethan's voice echoed in my mind, firm and determined. Sarah, Lucas, don't abandon the mission. He was there, near the structure, and his unwavering faith in our quest for knowledge was palpable, even amidst the chaos. Ethan, don't do this. Come back. I screamed, but the light surrounding him seemed like a hypnotic trap. He was so close to Maya, and the connection between them was so intense that I felt as if an invisible cord was linking their souls. I can fix this. I can do it. Ethan shouted, reaching out towards the light. The glow intensified, blinding, and the structure seemed to respond to his call. In a tragic moment, the light exploded in a wave of energy that engulfed us. I remembered everything we wanted to discover, all the dreams we had, and in an instant, everything went dark. When the light finally began to fade, silence took over the ship. Lucas and I were alone, aboard the Odyssey, floating lost among Saturn's rings. The structure, the source of our ambition, was completely disintegrated. No, it can't be, I murmured, tears streaming down my face. Lucas, beside me, had a vacant look, unable to process the magnitude of the loss. They're gone, Sarah. We couldn't save them. The weight of the words hung in the air, and the reality of what had happened began to settle in. The quest for knowledge, which once seemed like a bright and promising path, now turned into a dark echo. The signal we had awakened was now fading, and with it, our hopes and dreams. We never knew what we were truly dealing with, but now, human curiosity had exacted a devastating price.